All right, well, good afternoon, or I guess good afternoon to everybody out there. I hope that you're doing good on this Tuesday. Boy, it is humid outside. We don't see humidity like this but a couple times a year, and it's usually late April, May, into early to mid parts of June. And then later on in the summer, it all dries up and goes away. But when you've seen this much rain as we've seen as of late, and we've seen a lot of rain, you're going to be dealing with humid conditions. And I think we could be dealing with humid conditions into the summer. The pattern looks very, very active. I do not see, at least this week, an end in sight to the wet weather, and this could carry over into next week. So if you are wanting some wet weather, and we certainly did need it, we are getting it now. So more heavy rain and more storms are on the way. This go round, it doesn't look as serious as what we saw on Saturday. This is not one of those ordeals where we're wanting you to be scared. Or, well, we don't want you to be scared anyway, but this is not one of those ordeals where you need to be scared or super overly concerned with any of this. This is going to be just some good rain, good storms pushing on through. Going to continue to fill up those lakes, fills up those ponds, and but unfortunately, when you get this much rain and the water is saturated, the grounds are saturated like they are. You oftentimes just don't have anywhere for the water to go, so we wind up seeing flooding, and that could be a concern over the next couple of days. So here we are, another threat for some strong thunderstorms developing along that dry line. They're actually developing now. I'll show you those in a minute. So that would be this afternoon and the evening, and again, this will be kind of like this evening will be kind of some scattered thunderstorms. There'll be slow movers. The atmospheric winds are pretty weak right now, so they're not going to be moving particularly fast. They're going to kind of drift across the area. So that's why I'm thinking they could produce a lot of rain. There will also be maybe some gusty winds associated with them and perhaps a little flooding, a little hail. And then tomorrow, that dry line kind of backs up to the west as a front begins to approach from the north. And it looks like at least tomorrow afternoon, we see the development of maybe some supercell thunderstorms, slow movers kind of back out this way. And then that should organize into a larger area of storms crossing Texoma late evening into the early parts of the night. So once again, our concern would be a little hail, especially with initial storms, gusty winds, and flooding once again. So let's show you what's going on with the radar here as of now. Let me take a look at that and show you that there are some storms that have popped up. There's actually a couple little warnings up to the north of us for some hail. We told you that these initial storms are producing some hail, but again, they're not moving very fast, and these are not going to become tornadic. At least not down our way. I can show you this, though. I'll widen this. There are some tornado warnings up here in Iowa again, some of the same places that were impacted last week. Seeing it again today. Doesn't look as violent up there today, but there could be a couple tornadoes in that part of the country. Down our way, our wind shear is probably too weak for that. So if you look, as of right now, this Facebook Live is around 3:55. And you can see some of these isolated thunderstorms that may pose a bit of a hail risk up north of Altus and over towards Elk City. These will drift drift. Let me initially kind of move a little bit east or northeast, but at times they could kind of drift into this direction too. So those storms will continue to impact those same areas, maybe drift eventually over towards Lawton. Then we get down to the south into northwest Texas. Not a lot going on yet. There's one little shower trying to pop up south of Quanah, and then you go south of there. It's some over there near the western parts of Knox City. But it looks like between, let's say between now and about 10 o'clock, these storms will be firing up. But I don't expect a lot of them. They'll be kind of isolated to kind of scattered down into this area, and then they'll kind of slowly move into this direction here later on this evening before they die out. These will die out once the sun sets. These are being driven by heat and humidity. There's really no disturbances in the area. There's a little dry line out west, and that's really what's causing it. No cap either, so that's what causes these storms here. So let's quickly get into now tomorrow and tomorrow night. Here is the HRRR computer model. Let me let it load. Give it a second. So there's your storms firing up, this afternoon. And again, these could be some hail producers, mostly small hail. Maybe a little bit larger from time to time. There is quite a bit of instability out there, so they could produce some decent-sized hail anywhere they go. But look, you can see as the sun goes down how these quickly go away. There's some storms north of us, but those kind of stay up that way. And then tomorrow, will this go out tomorrow? I don't know if I added it back in yet. There's tomorrow. Then watch how quickly storms develop out west tomorrow afternoon. Those are kind of just along the dry line. And once again tomorrow, the wind shear doesn't look particularly strong, so I'm not concerned about big-time severe weather with these. although they could be a little more intense back off to the west there, as they initially could be supercells, but they should merge pretty quickly with a nice area of thunderstorms kind of crossing the area there in the evening and middle of the night. And once again, maybe some gusty winds with those, and maybe some small hail, perhaps maybe some flooding rains, especially with the slow movement of all that. So flooding could be a concern with that. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you, we do have thunderstorms in the mix. Thunderstorm chances, anyway, in the forecast pretty much every day through the weekend. And here's what I got with that. Now, this is not like a lot of severe weather. This isn't like what we saw last Saturday. In fact, a lot of times this time of year we do get bigger severe weather threats, but the wind shear in the atmosphere that you need for severe storms is kind of weak. I mean, it's not totally, unpresent, or there's some there, but there's not a lot, not high levels of it. So mostly what you're looking at is strong to some isolated severe stuff here. I think our bigger concerns would be some wind and hail with these thunderstorm complexes. May see another one there on Saturday night. They could produce some really heavy rain there. And again, with all this rain that's continuing to add up, flooding could be a concern. And here's some of the latest weather information suggesting how much rain that could fall between now and early next week. We'll go between now and Sunday, and rainfall amounts on top of what's already fallen between about 1 and 2 inches, maybe higher in some locations. But keep in mind, thunderstorms will probably cause those numbers to be higher, especially with the slow movement. So definitely going to see perhaps more than that, heavier rainfall amounts than that. And I showed this, and I put this on my page here too. Rainfall amounts so far this year in this spring. March we were above average by a little bit. So far this April we're well above average by 4 inches. And what do we got? Like another. There is a. Today is the 3rd. This is the last day in April, so it looks like we're going to end. And we may add a little bit more to the bucket tonight, but I don't think so. I think we're going to end there, probably about where we are. And then we'll start May off on a wet note as well. So for the spring, we're already about 5+ inches above average. We're going to add to that number. And for the year, we're 7 inches above average. We're going to add to that. So we needed that. I know that the lakes were down low. They're coming back up some. They're still not where we need them to be, but I think with the kind of pattern we're in, we have at least a chance to get some water back in them before we dry up this summer. So that's good news. As far as any big severe weather on the horizon, I really don't see any that's like that just screams off the charts. Pattern could be favorable more so for it maybe next week, perhaps maybe around Monday there could be some stuff, but again, it's too early to say. But I think the pattern, at least for now, is mostly kind of the heavy rain and kind of a little bit of some lower end severe weather stuff, maybe some flooding too. So that's what we got. Let me see if there's anybody that's got any questions here. So whole night, hopefully you guys have recovered from Saturday. And like I said before, we got lucky on Saturday. We got very lucky actually. And since those storms were more of at least over our area, they started off supercells and they were producing tornadoes, but they wound up becoming more of a line, and that saved us from a bigger potential, more serious severe weather event. But you got just barely east of here over towards I-35 and where you were able to get supercells, and that's where storm mode comes into play. They were able to take advantage, and every one of them produced violent tornadoes. So that could have been us. We got really, really lucky yet again. So somebody wants to know, why does it storm at night, not during the day? Because the storms, they fire up along the dry line out west. And that's their focus mechanism. It's parked out west. So they fire up during the afternoon along that dry line, and then as more storms form, they begin to kind of merge together into a larger thunderstorm complex and move over us at night. It's called MCSs, and it's very common to see that, especially in the month of June. Not so much this time of year, but you can see it this time of year. So that's what we're seeing at night. I missed it. What time do you anticipate them being in Wichita Falls tomorrow? Tomorrow during the day you'll be fine. It's hot and humid. It'll be kind of mid to late evening tomorrow, maybe even after 10 o'clock before anything gets here tomorrow night. So yeah, it was a big bad tornado wind yet. So it was definitely very scary area from Marietta up there to Ardmore and into Sulphur Springs and kind of up to Tulsa. That's where the outbreak occurred, was in those areas. So, all right. And it is going to go to Vernon. But, today you may not get. Today is kind of more of an isolated hit and miss kind of thing. You may or may not get one today. And tomorrow night's when the more widespread stuff will be. But again, not big severe weather stuff. This is lower end severe weather stuff, more of a heavy rain potential. As far as any type of tornadic activity, those threats look very low. Nothing bad tonight, Graham and Graham, Patricia and Graham. So, all right, I got to jump off. We got to get ready for my live shot we do tonight at Memorial High School. But I'll have another update this evening, and anytime anything else that may be going on, we need to do a little update.